The following podcast reflects our personal opinions and interpretations of publicly available information and should not be construed as factual assertions or legal advice. While we aim to provide accurate commentary, this discussion is speculative in nature and intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. We have taken care to conduct thorough research and carefully investigate the information discussed to ensure accuracy where possible. But we acknowledge that we may not have access to all the facts. As freelance producers, our views are entirely our own and do not represent or reflect the positions of any individuals or entities mentioned in this discussion. Any references to individuals, organizations, or events are made in good faith based on public available sources. We expressly disclaim any intent to harm reputations or imply unlawful conduct by any party. And with that said, let's get into it. Hey y'all, Lauren here, TV producer by day, reality junkie by night, and your guide to the galaxy of shows you love to hate, hate to love, and live to bitch about. This is RealityBites, the podcast where we deep dive into the week's buzziest reality TV and pop culture happenings.
I'm Morgan. By night, I'm Lauren's co-host and other better half. And by day, I moonlight as an executive producer. I've been around the Bravo block enough to know, let's just say, where the bodies are buried.
We'll take you through the biggest and best water cooler moments of the week through a producer's lens you won't find anywhere else.
Buckle up, buttercups.
I've had enough of you, you beast.
Beast? How dare you?
This is RealityBites. In this episode, we delve into the fallout from Blake Lively's bombshell complaint against Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios. Allegations of harassment, retaliation, and a coordinated smear campaign have set the stage for a legal battle that's redefining Hollywood's power dynamics. With exposed texts, competing lawsuits, and major players like WME and the New York Times in the mix, we'll explore how this escalating conflict is reshaping reputation and industry norms. The controversy reignited on December 21st, 2024, when Lively filed a high-profile complaint with the California Civil Rights Department. In it, she outlined 10 serious allegations, including claims of workplace harassment, retaliation through alleged PR smear campaigns, and breaches of her contractual rights. The complaint sheds light on what Lively describes as a deeply hostile and unsafe work environment, marked by instances of unprofessional and inappropriate behavior. Among these allegations, Lively accuses actor-director Justin Baldoni of making intrusive comments about her body and personal life, which she found invasive and inappropriate. She also alleges that Wayfarer executive Jamie Heath showed her a private video of his wife giving birth, an act she describes as deeply unsettling and entirely out of bounds in a professional setting. Additionally, Lively claims she was pressured to perform intimate scenes without proper safeguards, in violation of industry standards designed to protect actors in vulnerable situations. Central to her complaint are allegations of sexual harassment, with Lively emphasizing that the on-set environment disregarded her safety and personal boundaries. She contends that these failures created an atmosphere of discomfort and hostility, further eroding trust and professionalism during the production. The complaint also details alleged acts of retaliation. Lively claims that after she raised concerns about the work environment, Baldoni and Wayfarer engaged in a coordinated PR smear campaign to discredit her publicly. As evidence, she cites text messages between Baldoni's publicist, Jennifer Abel, and an external crisis PR consultant, Melissa Nathan, which she claims demonstrate efforts to manipulate public perception against her. Lively's filing paints a picture of a toxic workplace culture and raises questions about accountability and industry practices. It also highlights the intersection of workplace dynamics, gender equity, and power structures in Hollywood. Whether her allegations hold up under scrutiny remains to be seen, but the filing has undoubtedly reignited debate about the treatment of women in the entertainment industry. Although such complaints are typically confidential, Lively's decision to make the filing public has sparked significant discussion. Was this a deliberate move to demand accountability in an industry often characterized by silence, or a part of a broader PR strategy to influence public perception? One might ask, why Lively waited to file a formal complaint about workplace harassment rather than addressing her concerns with SAG-AFTRA during the union's 2023 strike. At the time, workplace harassment was a key focus of SAG-AFTRA's negotiations with the AMPTP, Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. The proposals highlighting stricter anti-harassment measures and stronger reporting mechanisms and protections for actors on set. Since Lively's allegations stem from incidents in May and June of 2023, well before the strike, it would have aligned with the union's ongoing efforts for her to raise these issues during negotiations. Lively's decision to delay filing raises questions, particularly given her past public discussions about harassment and her ability to advocate for systemic change. Back in 2017, when Harvey Weinstein was in the press, Lively revealed she had been previously sexually harassed by a makeup artist. While she didn't share many details then, it's curious after experiencing something of this nature that she wouldn't go to her union reps, who are there for exactly these types of protections. It's possible that her dual role as both actor and producer on the project may have complicated her ability to seek support from the union, or that she may have waited until after the strike to regain control over the narrative. Regardless, her choice not to involve SAG-AFTRA during a crucial moment for workplace reform in Hollywood is perplexing, especially as her claims closely align with the union's objectives. Now, let's talk about what wasn't in Lively's 80-page complaint, because sometimes what's left out can be just as revealing as what's included. The most notable omission: Stephanie Jones and Jones Works PR, the agency that represented Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios, are nowhere to be mentioned. Here's why that's so curious. Jennifer Abel, the publicist explicitly named in the complaint, was working under Jones Works and directly supervised by Jones during the time frame referenced in Lively's allegations. Yet, Jones and her agency are nowhere to be found in the complaint. Instead, the focus shifts to Melissa Nathan and the agency group PR LLC, a separate entity established later, also known as TAG. What's more, the same text messages cited in Lively's case, those exchanges between Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan that allegedly outline a retaliatory PR strategy, are also central to Stephanie Jones's separate defamation lawsuit against Baldoni. This raises an obvious question. Why would Lively omit Jones and Jones Works, the firm seemingly at the helm of Baldoni's PR efforts, when her complaint otherwise spares no detail? One possible explanation is strategic. By targeting Nathan and the agency group PR, Lively might be narrowing her focus to entities and individuals with a more direct link to the alleged retaliatory campaign. Lively's omission could signal a strategic effort to avoid complicating her case with overlapping claims, or to sidestep the question of whether Jones Works, as an established firm, had broader oversight over Abel's alleged actions. It may also reflect gaps in available evidence or a desire to keep the focus squarely on Baldoni and Wayfarer. But the omission is undeniably strange. If Jones Works played a significant role, leaving them out could weaken the narrative of a coordinated retaliation campaign. It's a choice that invites speculation and raises questions about whether the omission was a tactical decision, a legal oversight, or something else entirely. Whatever the reason, the absence of Stephanie Jones and Jones Works PR in Lively's filing is a glaring omission, especially considering the broader allegations of a coordinated, sophisticated, and well-financed campaign. As this case unfolds, we'll be watching closely to see if this gap comes back into play. The fallout for Justin Baldoni was swift and severe. Within hours of Blake Lively's complaint and Megan Twohey's New York Times article going public, WME, Baldoni's talent agency, severed ties with him. The speed in which William Morris decided was striking. In cases involving allegations of misconduct, agencies like William Morris typically convene a client advisory committee to deliberate and ensure due diligence is conducted before taking action. The abrupt termination raises questions about whether WME, William Morris, acted prematurely, particularly if the decision was made without thoroughly investigating the claims. Could this have been tied to WME's substantial financial ties to Hollywood's power couple, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively? The duo represents a veritable goldmine for the agency. WME doesn't just manage Reynolds and Lively personally, it also oversees Maximum Effort, Reynolds' production company responsible for his creative ventures and high-profile brand partnerships. These include the $600 million sale of aviation gin to Diageo and his multi-million-dollar deals with Mint Mobile, Disney, and beyond. The revenue generated by Reynolds and Lively's projects far surpasses what Baldoni, as an individual client, could contribute. From WME's perspective, the agency might argue that dropping Baldoni was a legitimate business decision to protect its reputation and preserve relationships with high-profile clients like Lively and Reynolds. In Hollywood, optics are everything, and agencies often take decisive action to shield themselves from potential fallout, even if the allegations against their clients are unproven. However, if WME indeed bypassed standard protocols, it suggests a reactive response to the controversy rather than a carefully considered one. This raises serious questions about WME's decision-making. Was cutting Baldoni loose a strategic move to safeguard its most profitable clients? The optics certainly suggest that William Morris may have prioritized Reynolds Lively's empire over established practices. After all, Reynolds and Maximum Effort generate several million dollars annually for WME, a stark contrast to Baldoni's contributions as a single client. Dropping Baldoni may have been a calculated choice to back their A-list assets at the expense of a comparatively smaller player. In doing so, WME made a statement about its priorities, aligning itself and its financial powerhouse clients while leaving Baldoni adrift. Curiously, William Morris has yet to sever ties with Wayfarer Studios, Baldoni's production company. Could this be a tactical decision to maintain a foothold in Wayfarer until the fallout subsides? Or is WME positioning itself to quietly transition Wayfarer off its roster in the future? Perhaps through an unannounced departure or a future headline announcing that Wayfarer has signed with another agency. It's worth noting that WME is currently in a transitional phase. Though the agency is currently publicly traded, its recent $13 billion, yeah, with a B, acquisition by Silver Lake to re-privatize the company is set to take effect in the first quarter of 2025. This raises another layer of intrigue. Could the agency's sudden and seemingly unorthodox handling of Baldoni's case be influenced by behind-the-scenes pressures related to its changing corporate structure? The question remains, how long can WME sustain this precarious balancing act before its next move becomes inevitable? With the filing of Lively's complaint and the subsequent fallout, her reputation has undergone a dramatic transformation. Leaked texts, coupled with carefully curated press coverage, have decisively shifted the narrative in her favor. Once scrutinized during the film's press tour and release, Lively is now enjoying widespread support from fans, celebrities, including her Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants co-stars, major Hollywood studios like Sony, and influential organizations such as SAG-AFTRA. Isn't that interesting? This wave of positive press, amplified by enthusiastic backing on social media, has led to a complete reversal in public perception. Meanwhile, Baldoni has found himself cast as the proverbial villain in this unfolding drama, with public sentiment branding him as, quote, a monster. However, public endorsements from influential entities may have unintended consequences, potentially undermining the legal process. By shaping how the public, potential witnesses, or even jurors perceive the case before it progresses, such endorsements risk undermining the fairness of the proceedings. Support based solely on unverified allegations without further investigation or evidence could be seen as a premature or even irresponsible, particularly from trusted organizations like SAG-AFTRA or major studios, until the case develops further. These public endorsements risk compromising impartiality and contributing to a narrative that could unfairly influence both the legal process and the reputational outcomes for all parties involved. Once Lively's complaint in the New York Times dossier dropped, Jennifer Abel's decision to respond publicly on Facebook added another twist to the unfolding story. On the morning of December 22nd, just a day after the news broke, Jennifer Abel issued a statement in an industry PR Facebook group addressing the leaked texts referenced in Blake Lively's complaint. She claimed the messages had been misrepresented, framing them as a routine PR discussion rather than evidence of a deliberate smear campaign. Abel emphasized that her work had been carried out collaboratively with her team and under the oversight of her former boss at the time. Typically, publicists refrain from issuing public statements themselves, adhering to an industry culture of working discreetly behind the scenes. Abel's decision to respond publicly was highly unusual and notably direct for someone with her experience, prompting questions. Was this an uncharacteristic misstep, or a calculated move to subtly suggest that the leaks originated with her former employer and boss, Stephanie Jones? Adding to the intrigue, legal representatives for Lively have confirmed that Jones Works PR had been subpoenaed for phone records. However, the timing at the subpoena remains unclear, further fueling speculation around Abel's motives and the source of the leaks. On December 23rd, Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, escalated the public dispute with a statement to the Hollywood Reporter. Friedman directly accused Stephanie Jones and Leslie Sloan for obtaining confidential texts and collaborating with Blake Lively's PR team to use them against Baldoni. He alleged that Jones had accessed Abel's phone, confiscated during Abel's firing in August of 2024, and shared its contents to bolster Lively's case. Friedman also speculated that Leslie Sloan may have acted as an, quote, internal eye, facilitating the leak and shaping the narrative to favor Lively. Furthermore, he claimed the leaked texts had been selectively edited, omitting critical context that could have exonerated Baldoni's team of any alleged wrongdoing. Enter Stephanie Jones. On December 24th, her name surfaced prominently in this saga when she filed a civil suit in the Supreme Court of the state of New York against Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, and others. The suit alleges defamation, theft of proprietary information, and conspiracy to harm her company, Jones Works PR. Notably, Jones also included, quote, John Doe's 1 through 10 in the complaint, claiming these anonymous current and former employees are behind the website StephanieJonesLies.com. The website, known for its detailed and scathing accounts of Jones and her company, has fueled speculation that the lawsuit is not only an effort to hold alleged conspirators accountable, but also a strategic move to unmask and silence her critics. With the claims laid out in her filing, Jones has firmly positioned herself at the center of an already contentious public and legal battle. Jones's civil suit specifically alleges that Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, Wayfarer Studios, and unnamed John Doe's engaged in a coordinated effort to defame her and discredit Jones' Works PR. According to the filing, this effort was designed to shield Baldoni while undermining both Jones and Blake Lively. The lawsuit accuses Abel of breaching confidentiality by stealing over 70 sensitive documents, including proprietary client lists and strategic materials before her departure from Jones' Works. Additionally, Jones claims that Abel and Nathan actively poached clients to join Abel's newly established firm, RWA Communications. The suit also implicates the defendants in creating and maintaining defamatory websites, such as StephanieJonesLies.com, which allegedly spread false and damaging claims about Jones and her business. So at the center of these two legal filings, Lively's and Stephanie Jones, are some key text messages from Jennifer Abel's confiscated phone. They are presented in both complaints, but in very different ways. And that's where things start to get curious. Let's break it down. Lively's complaint was filed with the California Civil Rights Department and uses these texts to highlight what she describes as a culture of hostility. For instance, there's a text from Melissa Nathan that says, quote, and socials are really ramping up, followed by, quote, it's actually sad because it shows you have people really want to hate on women, end quote. On the surface, it sounds like commentary on society's unfortunate tendency to pit women against each other, something Lively's team frames as emblematic of broader systemic misogyny, with Lively positioned as a victim of this toxic dynamic. But here's where it gets interesting. The same thread of messages includes a pretty harsh follow-up from Jennifer Abel. Quote, I know it's sad. And then, quote, but then don't be a cunt, end quote. That's included in Jones's civil suit, filed in New York, but not in Lively's complaint. Now, think about this for a second. Why wouldn't Lively's team use those damning texts? If anything, it would strengthen their argument, and it would probably make Abel and Nathan, as well as Baldoni, look even worse in the court of public opinion. So, what's the strategy here? Was it a deliberate choice to leave out the harsher language to streamline the argument, or maybe to avoid inflaming the conversation in a way that distracts Lively's larger claims? And what about Jones' approach? In her filing, she presents these texts as evidence of a personal vendetta, claiming that Abel and Nathan conspired to discredit her by playing into the public's tendency to criticize successful women. But here's a question. Could Jones's interpretation have stretched the intent of those messages? And on the flip side, why didn't her complaint include some of the other texts? Like Nathan's comment about, quote, socials ramping up, that would seem to tie the conversation more directly to Lively. Both filings rely on the same set of text messages, yet they frame them in completely different ways. That raises a bigger question. How is this evidence being shared between the two parties? With Lively's complaint filed in California and Jones's in New York, how will discovery even play out? And could there be evidence one side has that the other doesn't? If so, how might that shape these cases going forward? Another thing to think about, Lively's team is clearly aware of the public scrutiny surrounding this. Public opinion has already turned pretty sharply against Baldoni, while Lively has been widely supported. Including Abel's inflammatory remark would only have bolstered that narrative. So, does this suggest that Lively's complaint is at least partly about controlling the broader conversation and reshaping how the story is perceived? And for Jones, who's framing the text as a targeted attack on her, does her choice to highlight certain parts of the messages and leave out others open her up to questions about the integrity of her claims? Ultimately, this isn't just about the texts themselves. It's about how they're being used to tell two different stories. Both sides are strategically picking and choosing, which raises important questions. What's being left out? Why? And how might that impact the trajectory of these cases, especially if and when the courts get a fuller picture of the evidence? The stakes are high, not just in the legal arena, but in the court of public opinion as well. And these questions about evidence, strategy, and intent are likely to follow both cases every step of the way. In the next episode, the It Ends With Us controversy broadens into a far-reaching examination of Hollywood's shifting power dynamics, from Sony's pivotal role in shaping the film's trajectory to WME's web of conflicts and the ripple effects of Blake Lively's allegations. The saga exposes the mechanics of an industry in flux. We'll delve into the rise of star-driven creative dominance, the influence of packaging deals, and the weaponization of PR in shaping public perception. Plus, the looming battle over the sequel rights adds even more intrigue to this high-stakes Hollywood drama.